Hey, everybody. Welcome to Crossing the Streams.
Hello.
Yes, we have, we're live on Instagram. It's our second time live on Instagram. What's up, everyone?
Very exciting.
So anyway, welcome to Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question. What should I be binge watching next? I just finished watching something, and now I got to watch something else. Well, you've come to the right place, because we have over 136 hours of binge watching suggestions on our YouTube channel. And here we are, episode 137, as we kick off 2024. How was your holiday New Year's, folks?
Happy New Year.
Mine was so good.
So good.
Like,
so good.
So good.
So good. What'd you guys do?
Drank and ate a lot.
Yeah, kind of the same. My birthday's New Year's Eve, so it's like from the 25th until the 1st. It's just me being a brat and not changing my clothes and asking for food and presents constantly. So
Happy
it's always
birthday.
Hey, thanks. It's always a great time for me.
That's kind of neat, having a birthday on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it is when you're younger, and then when you're in like your late 20s or 30s, it's just kind of annoying. And then when you get past that, it's like, who really cares, honestly? Because like when you're like 21, it's like, this is the coolest thing ever. Everyone's partying just for me, and you go to Manhattan, whatever. And then when you're like 28, you're like, there's just too many people everywhere, like just everywhere. And it's not for me. It's for some fake date that people need to set, reminders to start doing weight loss programs. So, but all in all, it's great. People love that it's my birthday. I'll say that. You tell someone it's your birthday on New Year's Eve, they go, "Oh my God, that's so great. Happy birthday."
We went out to dinner. We went out to dinner the night before because it's my wife's birthday. And I realized it was the first time I ate and then literally stopped cold. Like I ate a pork chop so large, I couldn't function anymore. I went quiet, and then that night, this is the other thing I can't do. I can't eat meat anymore. At night, all of a sudden I'm sleeping casual like an angel. I'm sleeping like an angel. And then all of a sudden the acid reflux goes. It just pours in your throat. I'm sure it's like a drop, but it's like the river just
like a bucket.
And then I'm trying not to make noise. I'm like, and I'm trying to make saliva so that I can like swallow to like neutralize it. And then in the morning, then it was at night, and my wife's like, "What the fuck?" And my wife's like pissed because I'm trying to be quiet. So then I'm like, "Screw it!" And I had to get up and drink water.
Maybe she was waterboarding you.
I don't. Something was. It was horrible.
You thought it was acid.
It was acid. Yeah. So anywho. So this is exciting. We're kicking off the new year with some, we got to do the theme song. Everyone, Zach, can't start the new year without the theme song. Zach, sing along at home. If you see the words on the screen, we know they're blocking people's faces.
Here we go. Well, here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. And all of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Marcy.
They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff, Ron, Sal, and Bob. And then there's me. They call it Crossing Streams.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't hear another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we crossed the streams. Everyone in the world,
we crossed the streams.
We crossed the streams. That's the way
we do it here. We cross
the streams.
Jeff, I've listened to you sing parts of this song many times now, and I love that you're getting closer and closer to like a Macy Gray effect with your voice, and it's so beautiful to hear, really. Just so you know,
I have the worst voice ever. We were doing rock band once at my friend's house, and they're like, "You're not invited anymore." I'm like, why? Like, because you're mocking us. I'm like, I'm not mocking you. This is how I sing. this is how it's coming out. I go, there's nothing I can do. What do we got? We got Audrey Khan. Hello, happy New Year, everybody. We got Jerry. Happy belated birthday to Robin and to Zach.
With a
Jerry's
K.
got tons of Jerry's. Let's real quick, everybody. Just so we have it, let's kick off the year with the rules for the show. The drinking game that you can play along at home makes the show much more fun if you're drunk by halfway. If anyone on the show drinks, drink. Bob's not here. He's the one usually drinking wine. If we have to tell you if we have to be asked what platform the show is on, drink. If we put you up on the screen, drink. If we forget someone's name or anything, drink. Thanks to Jerry and Carmen for the fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have a feeling people
rules.
can get real drunk tonight.
I think so. All right. So let's last week, the last episode of last year, we covered Godzilla -1, which was great. Candy Cane Lane, which should be avoided at all costs.
Not good.
Leave the World Behind, which you should stop watching halfway through, and Reality, which I believe you liked.
Did anyone watch it? Did you?
I did.
You did.
Oh, good.
And then today we're going to talk about Jaman, A Disturbance in the Force, and Father Figures. So we got quite.
Never heard of that movie.
Which one? Father Figures?
Father Figures. Literally never heard of it before.
Oh, then let's start. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Let's go to Father Figures, the Owen Wilson classic.
Okay, I had never heard of it either, and that is one of the things that I did during this New Year's weekend. That is a movie that I ended up watching, and I enjoyed it a lot. The reviews in 2017 when it came out. In fact, I even caught a review that a woman wrote in the Detroit Free Press. She hated it. I thought it was a ton of fun. It was everything that I wanted. Just an easygoing, I don't have to pay attention closely, funny movie. And you get Kyle and Peter Reynolds are fraternal twins. They're brothers. Kyle is played by Owen Wilson and Peter is played by Ed Helms. So you get, Owen Wilson and Ed Helms. How can you go wrong? It was directed by Lawrence Shearer. This was his debut as a director. He did the Hangover trilogy, I guess. He did all 3 Hangovers, and well, gosh, how fun are those? So anyhow,
the first one.
Yeah,
he didn't.
One is.
You didn't like the second one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Or the third.
No.
Okay, all right. I thought that they were all pretty.
But I think the first Hangover is one of the funniest.
Great. I'll
get
pop it up. I'll turn it on any plane, like when I'm flying. Anyway, it's just need something. I will turn on the Hangover. So in any case, Father Figures has these the brothers. Their mother is played by Glenn Close, and it starts off. They attend their mother's wedding. They haven't seen each other in a year, and Ed Helms, who plays Peter, is a divorced father, and he's having a real difficult time with his teenage son, who it basically kind of blames him. He's struggling with his relationship, and Kyle, played by Owen Wilson, is kind of like, his wife is pregnant, having their first baby, and he's the regular old Owen Wilson character that he always plays. Super funny, easygoing, and like his glass is always half full. I feel like his characters are always like that. So Peter is addicted to watching Law and Order SUV, and he watches it, and he sees a man that he is certain is their father, that their mother has told them that he passed away when they were little. And he brings it to her attention, shows them that, look, he's on TV, and she has to come, okay, I lied to you. I never knew who your father was. It was the 70s. I was wild, having a good time. It could have been one of several guys. So I kind of made up who your father was, and I can't believe you actually. And she, must have shown him a picture of this actor or someone she was friends with years ago. So in any case, she tells them that their real father is Terry Bradshaw. And the two of them go out onto a road trip together to find Terry Bradshaw and let him know that they are his sons. So that's the movie. And from Terry Bradshaw, and of course, they learned that there's no way Terry Bradshaw could have been. Well, he was into it. He was like, "Oh my God, this is great. Let's go throw the football around." So, but then he realized there's no way. The timing doesn't make sense. But he goes on and he's like, "But what about this guy? Because I remember your mom. She was with this guy." So this road trip of them, and I don't know if I really want to tell you all the different. They have great characters, great actors. I just thought it was a ton of fun. I was always like, who's the next dad going to be? Who's it going to be?
It's
Well,
2017 movie, Marcy.
yeah,
It's okay if you spoil.
Okay, it's okay. So, all right. So the next one I believe
Fair,
is
6 years.
J.K. Simmons. Okay. So, Oz and Whiplash. I think he lived in Detroit or is from Detroit. He's an Oscar winner. He's amazing. He's so funny in this too. Like, it's just such a blast. Christopher Walken, like, that was the most exciting. I'm like, who's gonna be next? And then Christopher Walken walks out. I'm like, oh my God, it's Christopher Walken. And it was just like, watching a game show. Cat Williams is in the movie, if you know who he is, and Harry Shearer. Do you know who he is? He's a very small role, but I had to mention him because it's
Homer.
I want to mention that the movie was supposed to be called Bastards. I think that's really important. And they changed it and it came out as Father Figures. And Zach said he's never heard of it. I had literally never heard of it either. And it is on Max and it's an hour and 53 minutes. And I know Ron would want to know that, even though he's not here tonight. He wants to know how many minutes and where he can watch it. So in any case, it's just this great, fun, easygoing movie where these two brothers who have a bit estranged, kind of bond a little bit, fight a little bit, and it's slapstick comedy. There might be a car stuck on a train tracks, and just like funny stuff like that, where it's just are we going to die on the train tracks or not? So it is a lot of fun. I'm not going to tell you who the father is and how that all works out because I don't want to ruin it. I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, she did tell them that their dad died of colon cancer, and Peter literally grows up to become a doctor to make sure that no one ever dies of colon cancer again, and it's just all a lie. He's literally a butt doctor. What is that? A proctologist or whatever? He literally chose his profession on his mother's lie. When she didn't even really know who their father was. I thought that was really, really funny. So, when you're flicking and you've got 2 hours and you're looking for something to watch, this was perfect for me. I just really needed a fun movie that I could not pay 100% attention to, but 90% that was going to make me laugh and was going to keep me interested the whole entire time. So Owen Wilson.
When you say flicking, you mean changing channels, right?
Well, not really changing channels, but just kind of I only stream, I cut the cord 100 years ago. So I'm only looking at Netflix and Hulu and Max and all. So I'm looking for what is Netflix just releasing? What are the documentaries? I'm flicking through movies and stuff. So gotcha. That's what I mean by flicking. I don't really flick through channels. I pick a streaming platform and I try and find something in that. What am I going to look at today? I'm going to go to Hulu. That's just how I do it because I don't really have real channels. So that was what we ended up on, and I'd never ever heard of it. I actually thought that it was going to be the Sebastian movie that Bob hated, but that's different. That's something else about fathers.
Right. As you described this movie, I remember this movie. Okay. I don't think I ever saw it.
It's funny.
But I do remember the previews.
And they're supposed to be twins?
Yes.
Well,
it's so stupid. Why not?
You can be fraternal twins and you don't look alike.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
I just find out no matter who you are, if you find out you're twins with Owen Wilson, you're like, my nose don't look like that.
His nose is just as messed up in this movie as any other.
Yeah, I love him. I love him.
But yeah, they're the two of them. Literally, it's the same. I mean, I will turn on The Office just because I don't want to try and find something. And I know no matter which episode I put on, I'm going to be just fine. So that's kind of how it is with an Ed Helms movie, I guess, for me. And then Owen Wilson. How can those two not keep you a bit entertained? And they did. I thought it was great. The reviews, it only was like a 5.5 out of 10 or something. Come on, why are you being so hard on them? It's just a cute, funny movie. And I don't
Was there a
think
George
you're gonna be
Michaels
bored.
reference at all?
I don't think so. Why would there be? Tell me why.
Because it's the
So-
most
Oh, because
amazing
of
song.
father figure. Huh. I don't think if there was, I
I'll
don't
watch it
remember
tonight. I'll
it.
let you know.
I I hope you do. It's
I
just
will.
listen, I mean, it didn't
It's
win any
rare that I come
awards.
across a movie that I've never even heard of. Like, there's some movies obviously I haven't seen, but to never even heard of a movie
Yeah, I mean,
is pretty
To
stunning.
fall under Zach's radar, it's a rare,
Especially an
rare
Owen Wilson
occurrence.
movie. Like, I love the underlying sadness that Owen Wilson brings to his cute Texas like boppiness. So like, he is such a fascinating person to me. I watch everything he's in. So for an Owen Wilson movie to fly under my radar is pretty
Well, then, I
impressive.
mean, you're really going to enjoy it. And it's Owen Wilson. It's just exactly who, I mean, I'm thinking about him, and it's just all, you blend all of his characters together in these funny movies, like Wedding Crashers. It could be the same. He could have the same name as the character in Wedding Crashers. He's got that, voice, and he's right. Who did that? Did you do that, Zach?
Yeah.
That was good. Yes.
Wow.
And it's exactly. So the two of them together, and then like J.K. Simmons cracked me up, and then Christopher Walken and Terry Bradshaw plays himself. It was hilarious. I mean, how he was like,
Right.
no way, hey, these are my boys. Okay, sure.
You're giving high praise for this.
Yeah, I always believe that it depends on the mood you're in. If you don't feel like watching a comedy, then you're not going to like it. But I was just like, yeah, I'm in the mood for something funny and light. So I put it under funny and light. And Zach, let me know how you like it next time.
I will.
So you know how you just said you reminded me, like you said you were watching The Office. You watch The Office anytime. So there's one particular episode of Friends that always cracks me up, and that's an early episode where they go to the laundromat, where Ross kind of tricks Rachel into going on to the date at the laundromat, and then Rachel confronts the mean bully and then gives Ross a kiss, and then he turns around and he's in that daze that you can totally always put yourself in, like when someone that you like kissed you for the first time, and he just turns and smashes his head into the open washer door, dryer door, and just drops like a stone. There isn't a time I see that I don't laugh my ass off every single time.
This comment right here, just to touch on this real fast. So for the most part, I'll agree with you, but there are some things that Michael Cera cannot do, such as there's a movie called like Behind Enemy Lines, and it has like Owen Wilson as like a pilot that gets shot down over. He's like an Air Force guy, and Gene Hackman's got to talk him back. And there is no way Michael Cera can do something like that. So I think that being typecast as the same character is pretty close, except when you do Zoolander, then everybody else wants you to be that character forever. So I can almost agree with it. And I think Michael Cera picks better roles than Owen Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
He picks every role.
He was so good in Barbie.
Yeah. He was good in that.
He was.
Have you guys, anyone seen the new Nicolas Cage movie, The Dream Scenario?
No. Should we?
One of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Nicolas, I like was going through my Google feed and I saw this article and it was like, Nicolas Cage says Dream Scenario is one of the top 5 scripts he's ever read in his entire life. And I'm like, I've never heard of this movie. So I look it up and it just got released that day. And it's like another A24 movie. And it's about how progressively every single person starts just randomly having dreams of Nicolas Cage's character. And it gets like more and more people start having these dreams. And then like Michael Cera plays this character. It's like, hey, we're this new social media trendy thing. So like, let's just, maybe we'll put Sprite in your hand. But it's a really interesting, it's a very cool movie, but a pretty interesting role for Michael Cera. And I don't think Owen Wilson could have done that. But yeah, Dream Scenario, very cool movie. You can't find anywhere. You got to pay for it.
Okay, I'll watch that one.
Or
You
steal
watch
it.
Father Figures. I'll watch Dream Scenario.
Hurt.
Deal.
You're gonna be better off than I am, I think. But yeah.
What?
Well, Dream Scenario is one of the best like scripts that anyone has ever
Okay.
read. So like
Okay. Father
it's
Figures is
a
not.
crazy and crazy unique movie that just sits nowhere else in like your brain as far as like this is like blah blah blah. Like Father Figure, unfortunately, like it does sound like another movie or a couple other movies, although this is probably a better version of that. This Dream Scenario is just nothing I've ever like even thought of or heard about before. So it was pretty interesting. Very good.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I'll check it out.
Great.
All right. Let's move on. All right. So what do we got? Let's do Jawan. It's going to be good.
Speaking of Owen Wilson, one thing that I do every year for my birthday is I watch a full Wes Anderson, right? I watch everything. I start at Bottle Rockets, which is Owen Wilson's like very first movie, and then I go up and I cry my eyes out at Royal Tenenbaums, and then I get to Grand Budapest, and I'm just just in love. But I ran out of movies this year, and I was flicking through, and I'm like, let me just find something. And I was on Netflix and I looked at Jawan and I'm like, what is this? And you look at the poster, and if Jeff could put the poster back up, you could see that it's just like a crouching dude and he just has like wrappings all over his face, right? And you're like, what is this? And if it's a movie, if it's an Indian-based movie, a Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood film, most likely I'll put it on just to see how much they can hit me with it, right? You don't have to keep that poster up if you don't want to. So I put this thing on and I was stunned immediately. Now, a lot of Indian films, like, they don't try to base a lot of their stuff in reality the way like MCU does, or a lot of other movies now. It's like, well, it's got to feel real and it's got to be a real time clock and it's got to be this and this. But they kind of fell into like a formulaic thing. If you're trying to break free of the formulaicness of Hollywood movies or MCU movies, just turn on an Indian film, right? Now, just to give you a couple things. Now, Jawan means soldier in the Hindi language, which is great. So immediately all right, this is a soldier. He's got wrappings on. Because for me, if I don't know a word, I got to look it up. If I don't know something, I have to look it up. Then I'm doing research about something, which makes me more interested in it. Now, the tagline, or I guess the synopsis of this movie is, driven by a desire to rectify societal wrongs, Vikram embarks on a mission to obliterate Kaylee and presents the government with a set of demands, setting the stage for an electrifying and high-stakes showdown. The film delivers a strong social message about issues like corrupt political systems, challenges facing the farmers, and flaws in the healthcare system. It emphasizes the power of the index finger during elections as a means for citizens to actively participate in shaping their destiny of their country. I read that. I'm like, wow, that is a lot to tackle in a film, right? It's directed by Atlee. That's one word, Atlee. And I found out that there's a term called mononymous. It's like anonymous, but instead of A-N, it's M-O-N-O. So it's like Seal, where he's just so cool that he can take on one word as his name. Now, he's a screenwriter, director, producer who predominantly works in Tamil cinema, Tamil. And it turns out that Tamil cinema is from the most widely spoken language in the state of Tamil Nadu, which makes this a Collywood film, Kolly. Now, Collywood is a portmanteau for a name of Kadambakam and Hollywood. So you mix those two things together, similar to Bollywood. You mix those two things together and you get Collywood, right? So they're just exploding all over the place. Now, the main character, Jawan, is played by the most amazing actor of all time, the great Shah Rukh Khan, who's SRK. If you ask anybody about any Indian movie, probably the only actor they can ever name is SRK, who is the most famous person in, I think, all of India. He's actually one of the top 4 grossing actors of all time. And it's like behind like 3 great other people that no one's ever heard of. But he has... he's been nominated for 268 awards and has won a total of 122 of those, including Best Actor, Best Picture, blah, blah, blah. So SRK is the most predominant actor in the industry when it comes to, Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood style things. Now this movie, there's a couple things that I look for when I watch movies and I really want to care about them, right? I take agency in the characters. Like, are these characters that are just letting what the plot needs them fall into what they're doing? Or are these characters actually making choices and the plot is based on that? I also look for just strong characters in general. I can say that this movie caught me immediately. So one of the first scenes that you see is this man just like floating down a river and he's all bloody and whatever. And then this village, they take him and they wrap him up and they give him like all these healing, medical things, and they like blow powder on him and they, are grinding up these herbs and putting it on him. And you get these visuals that are kind of striking with like a god or some kind of deity statue. So you're like, well, this dude's going to come out crazy, right? Then it just cuts to 4 months later for really no reason at all. And this army shows up and they're killing like kids. They're just shooting everyone, like just throwing women in the mud puddles and just shooting people and just hacking people. Well, this dude in his full wrappings just starts chucking spears at people because this one guy like prays for a god. And they're like, we need someone to help us. So then you have, the soldier, Jaman, and he's just standing there and he's head to toe in wrappings. Well, he gets hit with like a piece of fire, right? Just like a stick with fire on it. Well, his entire wrappings just burn off for the most amazing actor reveal I've ever seen in my life. Wrappings burn off of his face, keeping his beautiful eyelashes there, keeping his eyebrows there. Okay, that's okay. Dennis Miller's amazing. Great vocabulary. So the first reveal that you get is of this man having his wrappings burned off him. Then he saves an entire city, right? Which is just so cool in itself. Then it cuts to right now. Then you see these 6 women that are boarding a train and you're like, oh, they're giving each other cool little winks and nods. They know what's going on, right? Well, it's this elaborate way to like stop this train and then have the soldier come up who's in charge of these women. And it's like, let me tell you a story about a farmer. And so you go into this thing about how this one farmer, he owes like this corrupt government something very small, like $20, but whatever $20 is for this village, which is like 6 billion rupees, but whatever. But you get the feeling that's not a whole lot of money. And the farmer's like, listen, we just haven't had any rain. I don't know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. Well, this guy starts just slapping him in the face. And the farmer's like, look, just not in front of my daughter, dude. Like, cut me some slack. And he's like, oh, you don't want your daughter? Then he just pulls his pants down and shows the whole village like his little weenie, right? And he's like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. So the guy leaves and this farmer, just feeling so upset about what he's done to his family, he just hangs himself. Daughter gets home, finds the guy, and he's just hanging there. And then the man comes and they're like, oh, you're having a funeral for this man? I thought you guys didn't have any money, whatever. But instead of this woman, like as a character, trying to gain your sympathy as a viewer or trying to just gain just the remote bit of like moroseness for her situation, she literally just picks up a shovel and smashes this man in the face. Now, to me, watching a movie where someone is clearly making a choice to do something bad for a reason is always beautiful, right? You don't really see a lot of people making choices in movies, so I love that. You have these just bombastic like action scenes. So like when you watch an MC movie now and you're like, it was boring. I don't really remember any of the fights. But you think back to like Civil War, right? When Captain America was like swinging the hammer and he had the axe and he like smashes up and you're like, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm loving this to death. That's this movie. That's this movie from start to finish. There's a spot where SRK is riding his motorcycle and he needs to light his cigar and he doesn't have a match. So he puts his boot on the ground and the sparks fly up into his cigarette, which lights his cigarette. Then he takes the gas cap off and jams a cigarette in there and just flies his motorcycle up. Dude, this movie is packed with nonstop action that I've never seen. Beautiful characters that give agency to an actual plot without asking you to feel bad for these characters. All that is so beautiful. It turns out that Jawan, he lost his memory and he has no idea like what's going on in his past life. Then you meet his son, who's also played by SRK. This guy is a prison warden. So you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? How's all this stuff going to break down? I'm not going to give you what happens because I really want people to watch this movie. I don't know.
Now he's holding back. Now he's going to hold back.
Listen, this is a 3-hour movie and I gave you the first 20 minutes of it. So feel free to dive into this thing because it is stunning. Like, it is so cool. The only downside is that Atlee is like, he's like the Zack Snyder of like Hollywood and Bollywood movies. So there's a lot of slow motion, a lot of dynamic visuals, but then you're like, okay, that's enough slow-mo. Let's just keep going. But also people are just like flipping in the background and weird stuff is going on. But it is a powerful movie about very powerful and smart women that are led by this crazy soldier that thinks he should do right, but has no real reason to because he doesn't have a memory. And there's also this little girl who's just looking for a dad the whole time. And it is one of the coolest, weirdest movies that I've seen. I love SRK. Atlee is a great, SRK has been making movies for 30 some years, but he took 20 years to only do romance movies. So he was in like just the upper echelon of romantic rom-coms and just being like a beautiful man. And then out of nowhere, it just pulls off this huge, masterful dual role martial art mayhem thing. So if you're looking for something different and you're looking for something that you almost want to pay attention to, Jaman is the film. It's on Netflix. There are multiple versions where you can get it into original language. You can get it in Tengu. You can get it in Hindi. But yeah, phenomenal film. Not as good as RRR, but a phenomenal film.
All right.
Wow.
Look, if Zach says it, it is.
I was gonna watch it till you said 3 hours, and I was like, that's a lot.
I know. It is long, and it is a lot of slow motion.
I have to break it up.
But once you turn it on, you're like, all right.
Okay.
It's like the second you put on RRR, like literally you put on RRR and you watch it for 20 seconds and you're like, my day's over. I don't care. I have to finish this. I have never seen a more beautiful man opening a movie than RRR. I want to talk about RRR again. Forget Jawan. Let's go back into RRR. No, for real. Jawan is great, and it is up in that level. Not as good, but on the same shelf as RRR, which to me is a perfect, beautiful. I've seen a movie 5 times. I watched it with my daughter. I made my friends watch this movie. Like, this thing is a stunning piece of art. Jawan is up there with it.
All right, my
wow.
friend. That was awesome.
Nice. Good.
All right.
review.
Well, speaking of art, let's talk about. Up next is a documentary about one of the greatest pieces of art ever made in the history of the world. The documentary, A Disturbance in the Force, How the Star Wars Holiday Special Happened. All right. Well, okay. So we'll start with who amongst us, and anyone can comment along as well, knows that the Star Wars Holiday Special from 1978 exists, or you've heard of it. Well, before we told you an hour ago, Marcy.
Like, what? I did not know this.
Okay. So all right. So a little backstory. In 1977, a movie, an epic space opera, if you will, debuted called Star Wars that would change the world forever, including this little boy who saw it on his birthday, who went on to be a huge Star Wars fan. So Star Wars was probably one of the biggest things ever. Star Wars is the highest grossing media franchise of all time. It's part of the Skywalker saga. There's 9 films. There's countless TV shows. There's countless now live action shows, Mandalorian. So from this little film by George Lucas in 1977, it's still a thriving, what is it? Enterprise. I don't know. It's a thriving franchise to this day. Sorry, lost that. However, if we now can go back in time, it's 1977, and The Empire Strikes Back is not coming out until 1980. The Empire Strikes Back, of course, the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, will be coming out in 1980, and everybody's worried about people forgetting all about Star Wars. So what they decided to do, and this was kind of brilliant at the time, one of the people in charge of Star Wars actually was in charge of, getting people excited about things. This was one of the ways that they successfully launched Star Wars. They got people really, really excited. They went to and created fans even before there was a property. So Star Wars itself is huge, and they decide that they're going to make a holiday special. And just kind of give context to this, this documentary is about the holiday special, but the holiday special itself, which aired one time in 1978, I think on Thanksgiving or around that time, that holiday weekend, directed by Steve Binder. It was confusing because people thought it was maybe a sequel. It's going to be a space sequel to Star Wars. But if you can transport yourself back to the time of the 1970s, this is the heyday of the variety show.
All right. Yeah.
So the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special, they hired people that were experts at creating variety shows, not science fiction.
Like the Muppets. Did they just hire the Muppets?
They might as well have. But
Mm.
the story is that Chewbacca and Han Solo, and by the way, this one of the things that I read or heard was when Chewbacca didn't get a medal, his reward was Han Solo taking him back home to his home planet to celebrate Life Day. So if you ever hear any reference to Life Day, it's from the Star Wars holiday special. It is George Lucas's creation, and probably had hoped that it would be like Festivus for the rest of us before that would happen. Like people would celebrate Life Day, right? So the first 20 minutes of the holiday special is just Wookiees. It's Wookiee family. We meet 3 or 4 other members of Chewbacca's family. So for 20 minutes in 1978, without closed captions, it's 100% Wookiee language, I think. So you can imagine we're off to a good start. We have.
Do you remember the other Wookiees' names?
Yeah, it was like it was. Yeah, I mean, it was like
It was Itchy,
Itchy, and like yeah.
Well, the mom was Mala, but the kid was like, it was like Itchy, and then the dad was like Chonky or something so dumb.
And I remember 15 years or so ago being given a bootleg of this, because this is only available on YouTube, very horrible versions on YouTube, or just some kind of passed around VHS or DVD that's been burned of this. George Lucas had been said that he wishes this didn't exist and would have destroyed every copy if he could. If you ever seen like the Donnie Marie show where there was a Star Wars skit and stuff, this is sort of before the master plan was kind of put in place that would lay out everything for Star Wars and the rules of the characters and all that kind of stuff. So at this point, there's no real rules. The only main actor from Star Wars that I ever saw on film say that he was proud of or enjoyed in some level the Star Wars holiday special was Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca. Mayhew, sorry. And so everyone else pretty much denounces it as for what it is, the horrible. So it's Art Carney is in it. He plays a big part. Harvey Korman plays multiple characters. B. Arthur. That was the other thing. It was like they got old school people for this young, hip, space thing. So it was like it was really, really weird. There's like for no other way to say it, but like softcore porn in this with Diane Carroll, who looks amazing, but it's still softcore porn. And
supposed to be Cher, but
yeah, it was supposed to be Cher. So the only thing of note that is actually probably pretty good in the Star Wars holiday special is there is a cartoon that introduces Boba Fett to the world. And if you watch it, if you find it, there are elements, and Jon Favreau has said this, and actually, if you're a fan and seen both, some of those things would have been clear, is that the Mandalorian took a lot of influence from this Boba Fett cartoon. There's even one episode where the aliens like, I was hoping to get home for Life Day. So there is references to it, and it's kind of a hardcore thing. So I happen to always think this was really cool, and I had Bruce Valanche on my podcast. I had Leonard Rips on my podcast, and both of them were writers for the Star Wars Holiday Special at one point during the iteration. George Lucas was part of it, or at least in the beginning, and then kind of went on to do Empire, and then what came out. There's Jefferson airplanes in this. I mean, this is a hodgepodge. Now, it's funny because like everything in the 70s was bad. So why does this get the whole, all these variety shows were just horrible. So why does this one get any more riff? Probably just because it's Star Wars and the expectations were completely different for it, or hopes for it were, because this was your one thing before this new movie would come out a year or so later. So at 100% Rotten Tomato score, A Disturbance in the Force is a 90-minute documentary, actually just shy of 90 minutes, that is getting rave reviews, and I watched it and it's great, and I think Zach saw it and enjoyed it as well. And it just talks to a lot of the people that wrote it and were in it, and they have some, well, I would guess maybe they passed away, but they had like some cassette recordings that they had been interviewed and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of then kind of a dive into it. Seth Green's in it, Kevin Smith, Paul Scheer, they're all giving commentary. There's some I love the 80s type vibe to it in addition to it, but other than that, it's really great. You gotta go buy it. It's right now it's in its pay phase. You can stream it, but it's totally, if you're like a fan of Star Wars Holiday Special or the lure of it or the mythos behind it, it's totally worth seeing this.
Now, fun fact, the only part of that whole thing that George Lucas has ever said like is good is that cartoon that you mentioned, because most of it was based on Ralph McQuarrie's original art. And that cartoon is actually on Disney Plus. So you can watch just that cartoon, which is pretty cool. But the rest of the whole holiday episode is completely gone. Like you can't see any of that. But on Disney Plus, you can find that first original cartoon of Boba Fett with his cool gun. The things I liked about that documentary was how they spent so much time saying that they were like going to shoot it so fast that they had to kind of film it like TV instead of movies. So they had like TV makeup artists like doing like Mark Hamill's makeup, and he just like caked it on like it's Broadway style, and like everyone was like so drunk and apparently high while making it, and they didn't want to be there. Carrie Fisher said like the only reason she would do it is if she could sing a song, and they made her make up lyrics to the Star Wars theme song, which I thought was really funny. And also B. Arthur, when she's in her scene where she sings that song, there's like 20 seconds where she's just flirting with a large rat. And that, to this day, my favorite part of the whole Star Wars holiday episode is B. Arthur getting sexy with a rat. And that's so great for me.
And that rat was from a different movie.
Yeah.
Where like it was a man eating rat. Like, anyway, you definitely check it out. It's worth spending the money to support this film. I'm sure it's not that much. So it's totally worth it. Cool. Awesome. So the first thing you got to do, Marcy, or anyone who hasn't seen it, is
I'm on it.
Go on YouTube and just search for Star Wars Holiday Special. If it's not a full thing, you'll find pieces of it. You got to keep in mind, it was like it aired one time.
Yeah, and then somebody caught it on VHS just randomly.
There's no way. If my brother were here, he'd tell me that I saw it, because my brother and I had to watch the same stuff because the big TV in the family room, and he's a Star Wars fan, and guaranteed we had it on beta. I'm telling you, I wish he were watching right now. So,
If you have it on beta, I would buy it off you.
well, I don't have any of those tapes. Oh, seriously, if I had Blazing Saddles on beta, I
Yeah.
would have some good beta. But
Oh
anyway,
man. Well, thank you,
I'm-
Jerry. I
It'll
was
be a
forgetting-
week that goes by real quick, though. Trust me. It'll feel cool when you're in it. And then afterwards, you're like, God, I got to eat dinner.
but
It's been
Jaman
so
is
long.
definitely it's streaming on Netflix right now, right? Yeah. Okay. Because one of my friends
Those
watching
RRR.
is trying to find it. She's
Jaman,
gonna start it
there's like
tonight.
3 different versions on Netflix. I checked it out today just to make sure. But yeah, it's on there. I mean,
Okay.
it is subtitled, so like if people don't like reading, they probably won't get a lot out of this movie. But I personally don't care about that. But yeah, it is in the original language.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for joining
New
us
Year.
for episode
Happy birthday.
first episode. Happy. So, Zach,
birthday.
anywhere people can keep up with you?
No, don't even try. Honestly, if you're thinking about listening to anything I have to say, try to find me on one of Jeff Dwoskin's other shows or watch one of the upwards of 6 straight days of content that this man puts out. If you watch every Crossing Up Streams back to back, it is almost 6 days of content, Jeff. And that's impressive to me because I love long movies, and that's all this is to me.
It's a long movie. And Marcy, how are interest rates?
Interest rates, they're coming down. 2024. It's our year, people.
Finally.
All right.
It's going to be a buyer's market. Is that what you're saying? A buyer's market's coming?
I'm not
Or
going to call
seller's
it a
market?
buyer's market, but it's going to be a little refinance boom. That's for sure.
Sweet.
We still need more houses. Anyway,
All right. So everyone go make a house.
go make a house.
All right, listen to my
Yeah.
podcast, Classic Conversations. Got a good, I think, fun episode. Rhonda Handsome, comedian. She was on the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. She was one of the Muppeteers with Jim
Oh.
Henson. She tells
Cool.
the story about how she was hired and fired by Jim Henson and trained by Jim Henson and Frank Oz, but also fired by them. She was in Pretty Woman. A lot of fun stories, really cool stuff. That's it. I'm coming up on 300 episodes in 2 weeks. Will be my
Congrats.
300.
Cool.
Yeah,
Good
I
job,
believe my
man.
300th episode is going to be Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster. So
Nice.
that should be fun. So
Right on.
right on. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
And that has been
Bye.
another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcast,
Classic Conversations and the Sal and Bob Show.
check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.